Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This episode is Existential Astral Crisis. Before we get into it, a couple new patrons on Patreon. Angel Rodriguez is an Astral Master, and ISSANN, all in caps, is a new Astral Scout. And they'll be getting their videos in advance on Monday. Easy access to a Patreon email so we can talk back and forth in a much easier manner. So there'll be a link in the description if you are interested in supporting Astral Club. This was a difficult one. Before I get into it, I just want to offer a little hint. For people who want to astral project or astral project more, one of my little tips that I used to do over the years is just read some pages, maybe no more than a chapter of, let's say, an astral projection book before you go to bed. You're lying in bed. Grab yourself one of those little reader lights that you can clip to the book if you have a significant other next to you. Otherwise, turn the lights on or turn them down low, and just read about astral projection. Like, for instance, Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe is a perfectly good book to have on your nightstand. That way, the last thing you think about before you go to bed every night is astral projection. It won't take up that much of your time, but you'll be surprised how it might spark some astral projections or increase them for those of you who might be not having as many as you'd like. So that's a little hint. So I did get out of my body for this episode using my secret technique, which, as I said before, I'm loath to share because that shell is still present, and I want to find a way to get out and keep getting out without having it possibly plugged up. So I homed in on the signal, as I do nowadays, because I'm part of this resistance, and I felt the signal and I went to it, and there was my angel guide who greeted me and said he had a mission for me. I was supposed to deliver this rote for the resistance. For those of you who aren't familiar with the works of Robert Monroe, he referred to a package of energy communication as a rote. Essentially what it is a compacted bit of information technology, energy, that you pass to someone else. And when they absorb it, they have all that information. And it's not just like written words on a page. It's much more like they were there. In other words, if the message is about this particular planet feels like this, looks like this, you get not only the visuals of what the planet looks like, but you also get the thoughts of the person as they were recording the rote, the emotions of the person as they were recording the rote. So it's a much more effective means of communication than, say, the written word, because it's telepathy taken to the nth degree. It's telepathy, it's empathy, it's a bunch of other words I can't think of right now. So it's a very effective means of communication. Monroe called it a rote, and I have no reason to develop my own language, so why not use his? When he gave it to me, I'll be honest, I felt a little strange. I said, is this really my mission? You don't have anyone else who can just deliver this? Because it's a fairly straightforward mission. I've been rescuing counselors from uh, dual black holes, and astral hell. And now you just want me to deliver a message? Am I a glorified postman? He said, well, it's a very important message and I need it delivered and I know I can trust you. So I took it at that. Sometimes you don't argue. I like to argue, but in this case, I could tell he wasn't interested in any further arguments. So I accepted the rote. I didn't review it myself because, like all good resistance members, you're only supposed to know what you need to know when you need to know it. And if I didn't need that information and I wasn't instructed to absorb that information, I was instructed to deliver it somewhere, then that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what I did. So I have no idea what was in that rote. All I had was the rote and the ident. And once again, for anyone who's new, the ident is a vibrational signature. You home in on it. And it's like having an address and using your GPS or whatever, your phone to get to that address. So I accepted it and took off. I lost consciousness, and when I regained consciousness, I found myself inside of what looked to be a sun. That was a new one for me. I had flown through our sun before, so I knew immediately that's what I had done. Now it looked different from the inside than our sun did, but you have to understand, you just kind of regain consciousness and there you are. Next to me was a humanoid type projection. I handed the rote to him and he disappeared, or she, I don't know, without so much as a thank you. I know, maybe that's not part of their culture. So there I was inside the sun, having completed my, what seemed to me, elementary mission. So I exited the sun and found a solar system that had some planets there. There was a couple planets that were rocky. One of them looked kind of burnt. The sun itself had a very reddish tint to it, so I suspect that it was in a red giant type phase. Part of me wanted to explore the solar system, but then I started thinking about, remember my missing comrades, the monk and the angel? Those are my nicknames for them. I don't like using real names. Real names have power, which is why I give nicknames to folks that I want to protect. So I thought, well, I know previously I wasn't allowed to go on that mission because another mission was more important. But I already accomplished the mission that I was sent on, and I still had some time out of my body. I could feel it. So I figured, well, what's the harm in now trying to find what happened to the Virgin and the monk? I immediately started scanning for first the monk's vibrational signature, then the Virgin. Now, I know they were sent off on a mission together, so I had hoped that they would be together. However, the monk's vibrational signature, I could not home in on it. I don't know, it was like it was muffled or scattered. I'm not sure, but I couldn't home in on it. So I decided to try the Virgin's ident, and that was strong and clear. So I decided to home in on that. Lost consciousness. And then when I regained my consciousness, I was standing in this empty room with just white walls, and the Virgin was there standing like he was waiting for me, like he knew I was coming. And at first I was very happy to see him. And I said, what happened? Are you guys okay? Where's the monk? Naturally, I didn't say, where's the monk to him. I said the name. But he said, I'm not sure where the monk is right now, but I'm sure he's safe. But things have changed, Rick, and I think we need to talk. So I was a little perplexed. I mean, I wasn't prepared for this. I thought I was going to have to grab and go. I grab these guys and get out of there. Or I expected some sort of fight of some sort. I just wasn't expecting this. So I was kind of thrown off balance. And importantly, I didn't put any shields up because I was here with an ally. And when you're with an ally, you don't just put shields up to protect yourself. So just understand that. And he said that he had talked with the master and that he wasn't the bad guy that I thought he was. He said that the master told him everything and that the old council, he showed him how the old council was corrupt, ossified, full of infighting, and very manipulative. For instance, he said, remember what they did to you with your second trip to Amphibia when they wanted you to go there and end that sacrifice? So in order to make sure that you did it, they set up that young female that you had bonded with in your first trip, set her up for possible sacrifice because they knew that would manipulate you into going on the mission. Of course, I remembered that and I indicated that I did, but I was still very confused as to what was going on. The Virgin went on. He said he wants to reform the council, make it more active, and be responsible for creating positive change and get away from being mired in all those old traditions that has been going on for thousands of years, that keeps the powerful in power and keeps the rest of us in subjection. I said, wait a minute, are you saying you're working for the master now? I can't believe this. How could you work for that monster? He said he's not a monster. You've never given him a chance. He is very sorry for what he did to you in the past. He realizes that he underestimated your potential and he values you. He's seen what you've been able to accomplish, and he thinks respectfully that you're being misled and you're being used, and that this old council that you're now fighting for in the resistance is not your friend, is not something you should be fighting for. It's costing you a lot, but what are you getting out of it? He said he wants to promote the Earth and take it from a backwater planet that other advanced races have been using for their own purposes, for science experiments, for some rare resource extraction, and to make it a full part of the Federation. And he'd like you to be the first counselor from Earth on the Galactic Council. I hate to admit it now, but I was listening. As I said, I guess I didn't put up my shields, but what he was saying, at least at that time, was making some sense to me. He went on and he said, look what the resistance is doing to you and your family. You're trapped in a war you never wanted, which is true. I kind of fell into this whole thing. I'm an explorer, and that's what I do best. But now I seem to be trapped in this cycle of being some sort of I don't know, a mission representative, an agent out there accomplishing all these different missions that I'm sent on, like a soldier. And I don't have time for my explorations any longer. He said, look what it's doing to your family. Ask them when you return to your body. Ask them how they're doing. I think you'll find that they're suffering indirectly as well. I uh, I I was confused. I was shocked. I was experiencing a wide range of emotions, and I just went back to my body. I didn't know what else to say at that point in time. I awoke, and that morning I was feeling very depressed, very low energy. I was asking myself, am I doing the right thing? Is this channel something that I should continue doing? I texted my daughter Rose, who I've mentioned before, and I asked her, I mean, what did she think if I would just stop doing the channel altogether? And she advised me against it, but she also admitted that she was frightened to astral project herself because she was worried she'd get caught up in this conflict. Um, I then texted her the next day. I was still feeling the same way, only worse. And she said that she couldn't even get out of bed, that she didn't know what was going on. She felt so low energy. Then I talked with my wife, and we sat down and had a long talk. And Lynn is my wife, and she said she was feeling very depressed in this new house, not feeling well. We sat down and frankly talked about perhaps pausing the channel for the holidays, perhaps ending it all together. Um, at the very least, taking a long break from it. With all this buzzing around my head, I decided last night to sleep on it before I made any decisions. And I had this dream in the middle of the night. And in it, I had this car, and it was all packed up. And I started heading down a road. And I didn't have any maps. For you younger folks, maps are pieces of paper that we used to use to figure out how to go places. um, my phone wasn't working, so I couldn't. My car didn't have GPS, so I stopped off at a gasoline station, which in the old days you used to be able to ask directions from. And there was this old guy. He was like 1,000 years old, and he was standing there, and he had these old coveralls on, and he just, I don't know, he just looked like the kind of guy who'd be at a gasoline station in the middle of nowhere for 1,000,000 years. And I said, where do those two roads go up ahead? He said, well, the one to the left, I have maps for you, but you've been there before many times, so you really don't need a map, do you? I said, well, where does that road to the right go? He goes, oh, now that's a hard road. And there's never, ever been a map for the hard road. So at that, I suddenly decided what course of action I had to take. So I thanked him, and I went down the right road. When I woke up in the morning, I decided I was going to talk with my wife and share with her that I had decided that I was going to continue to pursue the course that I'm pursuing. I was not going to end this channel, that I was going to continue on perhaps this unknown road that is certainly rocky. I'm not sure where it's going to end or how it's going to end, but I'm going to continue because I believe it's necessary. And it feels to me like a life mission. But before I could say any of this, she came into the room and said exactly the same thing. Before I could even say a word to her, she already knew precisely what I had decided. And she was 100% behind me, as she always is. That was my astral existential crisis. So we'll see where it takes us in the future. If you liked this video, like it, hit the you'll share with those of like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, hit that bell. You'll always find that Eastern Time, 8:15 a.m. on a Saturday, there will be and continue to be new videos posted here in the United States. So, whatever 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time in the United States is where you live, then just be ready for new videos at your time schedule. And as always, I'm Rick, and I'll see you on the astral plane.